Welcome to the Mom Owned and Operated podcast, the podcast about moms and for moms, where we have candid conversations about running a business, raising a family, and remembering ourselves. I'm your host, Rita Suzanne, a single mom of four, digital strategist, and provider of no-nonsense business strategies and tactics. Hi, this is Mom Owned and Operated. I'm Rita Suzanne, and today I have my guest Amy with me. Amy, I'm so excited to chat with you today all about email marketing and all of the things. Please tell everyone all about you, your family, and your business.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I definitely appreciate it. So yeah, my name is Amy Kuphal. I am a lead generation as well as email marketing specialist. I am the proud single mom to a beautiful 12-year-old daughter. She is the best. I mean, all of the moms, listening, we know our kids are amazing. So and I am the owner of a monthly membership called the Inbox Entrepreneur.
Love it. And we were talking before just a little bit about the Inbox Entrepreneur, because I think it's so brilliant and we're doing something so similar. So let's get into it a little bit deeper. Tell us a little bit more about it. What does it entail? What do you offer? All of the details.
Yeah. So I created this membership out of a need that I saw in talking to a lot of the business owners that I was working with in the one-to-one capacity. So people would come to me and they'd say, I have this idea for a business and I have this area of expertise, but then they were struggling to monetize it because they were doing all of the things. So they were attending networking events and they were making 1,000,001 reels on social media, and they were just really kind of spread all over the place. So I started talking to them. I said, okay, what is your number one need? And that was lead generation and turning leads into clients and customers. Mm-hmm. And I could see that their number one need is really streamlining what they were doing. So out of that, I created what I call my lead generation pyramid, which is a 4-part pyramid that really streamlines the whole process for business owners, and then also created this membership. So essentially in the membership, it's a monthly membership, and they get access to all of the email templates and swipe copy and video tutorials that they're going to need to convert the people on their list to paying clients and customers.
Yeah. And I saw on your website that you mentioned that there are 9 email types. So can we talk a little bit about those 9 types?
Yes. So there are. And actually what I'm doing is so I won't give too much of a spoiler alert, but I'll give you a little teaser to the first couple, is right now on my own podcast, the Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast, I'm dripping them out week over week. So what it basically comes down to, there's 9 essential email types that we should be sending to our list if we want to create paying customers and clients. So the first one that we always talk about is, of course, the welcome sequence. And I'll tell you, and I bet you've probably seen the same thing, the number of business owners that don't send that welcome sequence is a lot higher than I would like to see, given this is what we teach. But really, that is like the sequence that's going to set the tone for all of your future emails. It's going to introduce yourself. It's going to introduce your brand. It's going to allow people to understand your vibe and your mission. And really, it's one of those ones that I think does a huge job at preventing people marking you as spam further down the line, because they're understanding what to expect. So that would be definitely number one. If you don't have that one set up, that's the first one to do. Second is your freebie or your lead magnet delivery. Now, there's a lot of different ways people can come onto our list. They can just join our newsletter. They can grab our lead magnet, different things. I talk about doing 2 separate. So we have our welcome sequence and we have our lead magnet delivery sequence, because especially if you're going to have multiple different lead magnets, you want them to all get that welcome sequence and then get their unique lead magnet delivery. We also have sales sequences. We have objection sequences. I don't want to name all 9 because, like I said, they're coming out over the next 7 weeks on my show. So definitely jump in and listen to those.
I love that. One, and I don't know if you're mentioning this, but one that I love to
have people add is, if they're doing local networking, is to have some type of sequence for that specifically. Like, what is the point of going to these local networking events, gathering these cards, and then they just sit on your desk in a pile? Or you send one, hey, thanks, it was great to meet you, email, and then that's it. And so one sequence that I love to create or have my clients create is that type of sequence. So I don't know if that's something that you that's also included in there as well, but I want to throw that one in there as a bonus as well.
Yeah, I like that. And so that's not one of mine, actually. That's interesting, but I love that you have it, because a lot of my clients are online business owners. So yes, I definitely still think, even if you're an online business owner, go local, meet people at local events. I think that that's huge. Even if you're online, it's huge, because then they see you're an actual human in the flesh, like you are, someone, just not some bot online. And I wonder with that one, what do you have a specific call to action that you lead them into?
Yes,
Because that would be
schedule a
what,
phone
okay.
call.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Because that's another thing too. And I know you probably talk about it. I say a lot, but we're not just emailing people to have a pen pal.
Mhm.
Right? We're business owners. So yes, we want to develop rapport. Yes, we want to have a friendly relationship, but what is that action that we're hoping that they take as a
Mhm.
result of being on our list?
Yeah, like for so many years, I focused solely on just working online and just, developing my connections online. But over these last years, because I've been doing this for the last 10 years, I've seen our market change so much. And so now I've been saying, okay, you have to network locally, because our online space is just so crowded. And if you're going to, especially if you need clients, you need to network locally, because one, you develop relationships so much faster, right? And so if you do develop that relationship faster, get on a call with them so that hopefully you can create a relationship or get a client out of it. And so that's one thing that I definitely want to toss in there really fast. But yeah, I think that overall our market has changed. And so have you noticed a change in that? Because I know that your business has pivoted slightly. So is that something that maybe caused you to change as well?
One of the big things that caused me to narrow down more was just that when I had started out, I was in the more general one-to-one business coaching space, essentially with anyone that had an idea of a business that they wanted to create. I walked
Mhm.
them through it. It ended up being about 26 different topics and modules to get
Wow.
them from, so like a ton, from idea conception all the way to having a business that's
The
up and
launch. Okay.
running, and it's right launched and it's making them money. So there's a lot. And I did work with those clients on a one-to-one basis just because it was so unique. The reason why I niched down though into lead gen and email marketing is, like you said, the online space is crowded. So when
Mhm.
I'm walking into any online space saying I'm a business coach, well, so are the 30 other people around me. Like, great. So it's like,
Exactly.
okay, that's not going to work. And it was a lot to really be a master of 26 plus
Mhm.
different topics. So it was like, for me, it was going, okay, what is the one thing that people really, really are screaming that they need right now that I can get really, really good at? So that one, it's going to set you apart in crowded marketplaces. And it also makes it a lot easier for collaborations. Because if I'm a general business coach that covers all the things, someone maybe who's also a business coach might not invite me to speak inside their program because I'm doing something
Mhm.
similar. But if
Right.
I'm coming in saying I'm just teaching email marketing, they're going to say, cool, like you're not trying to take my clients, like you're just speaking on this one specific thing.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because that is another, like, where to your point, I focused in on email marketing too, because I noticed that people were having a problem with converting their prospects into clients. And so I was like you, I'm pinpointing, where are we struggling? Where are they struggling the most? And that was the problem. And so that's why I love what you're offering, because not only are you teaching them how to set it up, you're offering the templates and you're offering them the framework, right? And it's not email provider specific. Correct.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Because there's so many to choose from and they change all the time. And that's one of the things that we had been discussing before we hit record is that what I like to teach inside the membership is the copy, the messaging, the marketing, all of that that's going to be universal, whether you're sending emails from your Wix account or ConvertKit, whatever it might be, you can take these and implement them on all of them, which is kind of cool, because it just comes down to, like you said, what I was seeing is a lot of people either just weren't building their email list at all, which I was like,
Right.
oh gosh, like let's change that right now. Like we're going to, number one, let's start building our list and reaching out to them on a consistent basis. But then I would find that I was in different, I don't know if you've ever participated in bundles or other list growth strategies. And I was talking to the people that were really actively building their email list. And they're like, well, I have a list of, 2,000, 2,500 people on my email list. And I'm like, cool. Like, how often are you reaching out to them? And they're like, oh, when I have something to sell. And I'm like, oh, like that's also something we don't want to do.
Right.
So it's really having, not just building our list, but having some strategy for what we're going to do once we're building our list to nurture and convert.
So let's talk about frequency of emails then, because there's so many different schools of thought in as far as frequency and types of emails. So first, let's talk about frequency. What is your recommended frequency?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you just said that right there. There are so many different pieces of advice when it comes to how often you should email your list. So my personal recommendation is absolutely not less than once per week. I actually had a woman join my membership about a couple weeks ago. Actually, it might be coming up on a month for her. And when she came in, her statement was, I email my list once a month. A small list, but she goes, I email my list once a month and I don't want to email more because I don't want to be spammy. And I'm like, oh, so the fact that I shared with her is I said, we get an average in the US, I'm based in the US, but we get an average of 120 to 140 emails in our inbox every single day. If you are one email of 140 times 30 days, they're not going to see it.
They're not going to remember you.
Right. And so that was the other statement that she made. It was that I don't want to get reported as spam. I don't want to be spammy. And I said, the number one way that you're going to be able to be reported as spam is if you pop up once a month. And like you said, they go, who the heck is this? Like, how did I get on their email list? Spam. Versus if you're showing up more consistently, they know who you are. They know why they got on your list and so forth. So that's why I say absolutely not less than once per week. I follow a couple people that do daily emails. I don't at this point. I do twice a week, but I think as long as you're more than once a week, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think just that statement alone is almost it's what I think a lot of female entrepreneurs maybe struggle with is the fear of someone seeing them too much, right? Of someone judging them. And that's also a problem, right? They're like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, like, don't look at me, but also buy from me.
Right. I know. And it's interesting. And I think just a quick reframe that I always go to for myself, because this is what I do. And I still get in my own head sometimes. But if we truly believe in what we're selling and we're showing up in their inbox with the absolutely heart-centered intention of providing value, and our offer is going to be that next level of value for them, and we've priced it in a way that we know that the price that it is they're going to get way more value than what they're going to invest, it's our obligation to show up more and make sure that the people that really need it know that it's there.
Yeah. So let's rewind a little bit and talk about welcome/nurture sequences. How many days or how many emails are included in a typical nurture sequence that you would recommend?
So what I do is if I go welcome sequence to start mine, I have a couple different ones that I'll rotate through. One is 3 in a row. One is 5. I'm leaning more towards the 5 in a row, and I actually structure them one after another. So day 1, day 2, day 3, and I even put that in the subject line, email 1 of 5, email 2 of 5. So they can clearly see this is part of some sort of sequence Even though she's emailing me every single day, I don't think this is probably going to be the case after. And I mentioned that in my first one as well. You're going to receive these next 5 emails. After that, you're only going to hear from me every single Tuesday, unless you reach out to me, yada, yada. So that we set that expectation. And then from there, that's when we're going to implement. I sell every 60 days. So I do some sort of direct sales sequence every 60 days. But my nurture is that once a week. And that's where I weave in those 9 different types of emails that we talk about.
Yeah. And so I love that and then so during that process where they're in the welcome sequence, do you then pause any additional emails, right?
I do. Yeah. So anytime they're in the welcome sequence or sales sequence, they're not receiving my 2-Minute Tuesday newsletter.
Yes, I think that's something that people need to understand too, is that when you send out the welcome sequence, you're pausing anything else. You're not confusing them with other emails because it's confusing.
Right. And especially like during like a welcome sequence or a sales sequence, there should be one clear call to action. And like you said, we don't want this one clear call to action that you're trying to, help them to move forward towards. And then we're like, oh, by the way, some other random thing that's going to distract you. Like, no, let's not do that.
So there are several different kind of layouts. And so a lot of emails, especially in our entrepreneur space, specifically to coaches or from coaches, are kind of long form copy, start with the story, and they end up with the selling. So that's one way, right? And then we have these other type of newsletter type emails where it's kind of like informative, click the link and read more. Which type do you think are more effective?
I actually use neither of those.
Oh, tell me more.
Yes. So I use neither because for me, my mindset is this. It's that there's a time and a place. Like people say, people's attention's less nowadays. I don't know if I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't think that we have this lack of attention span. If you give someone a Netflix series that they absolutely can't get enough of, I just watched Baby Reindeer, which is like the most, I don't know, for people that watched it, it's an interesting one. You could sit and binge that for hours. Okay, so our attention is there. However, I think when we're in the inbox, our attention is different, especially the people that I work with are business owners. So a lot of times they're in their inbox, they want the information that they want, and then they're getting out. So what I do, as opposed to more of a long form, it's typically 250 to 350 words or less. Very simple format, not a ton of images. And you're getting in there, you're getting that tip or trick, you're getting the story. I do like to weave in story a lot, but a couple sentences. And then if they want to learn more, then you can refer them to like your podcast or a blog that you have. But my best advice is keeping things short and sweet in the inbox if that's what your ideal audience is used to.
Yeah. So for someone who isn't a great writer, I know you give them templates, but what is your thought on like AI?
So yes, I do. My membership is designed for people that are not skilled writers. And I actually have that in a lot of my copy that I write. This Inbox Entrepreneur, you can get this without being a skilled writer, because that's a big roadblock that people have when they think about writing these big newsletters. Like, not much of a writer. My high school English teacher pretty much almost failed me. Like, totally fine. Like, you'll be fine in this membership because you don't have to be a skilled writer. I'm sorry, can you repeat the last little piece?
So the last part I was saying is, even though you give the templates, then you don't want them just copying and pasting the templates in there, because it has to be on point with their messaging, right? So what are your thoughts about them utilizing your templates with AI?
So I have pieces in there that they can plug into ChatGPT. I will say 100%, don't just take what ChatGPT gave you and put it into your email. You will sound like a robot. We talked about at the middle of this episode, what a big struggle for online entrepreneurs is, how do we differentiate ourselves from other people? And that's by using our own voice. That's our own tone. That's our own words. What I like to use ChatGPT or other AI for is, again, if you're not a skilled writer to begin with, for me, looking at a blank page and just being like, oh, I have to write an email, that is so incredibly daunting.
Right.
But if you can take the template and say, can you spit me out, 3 facts about, for example, if you were a relationship coach, can you spit me out a couple facts about the things that maybe lead to struggles in relationships? You can use those facts in your email, but make sure that it has your voice.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like a lot of people will just use it, copy, paste, and put it in there. And you need to tweak it. You need to reread it at least, 15, 20 times, read it out loud, make sure that it sounds like you. And sometimes some of the even suggested adjectives that it uses, I'm like, wait a minute, I would never say this.
And you know what I found too is interesting, especially specifically with Chat GPT, when I'll put something in and say, hey, because again, for me, it's always just like a jumping off point to get my wheels spinning about what I might write. But when I put it in and they spit me back what they do, a lot of it is really, really, really long sentences.
Paragraph.
Again, like fine for like maybe a blog, but this is not the type of writing you want to do in the inbox. It's short. I always suggest between 4th and 5th grade writing level, not because our readers are 4th and 5th grade reading level, but because when you're in the inbox, you want it to be quick and digestible. So I've taken that Chat GPT prompt, put it into a reading level analyzer, and a lot of times it's at post-grad level. There's a lot of work that needs to be done between what it gives you and what it should look like in the inbox.
Yeah, and I don't use Chat GTP specifically. I prefer Gemini. But I think that you can tell it like to adjust its tone and all of those things so that it is more relatable. So anyhow, let's bounce away from
that could be a whole different tangent. I know.
This isn't a topic about that, but I wanted to talk really quickly about why you are not going into the specific email providers, because one thing that I was going to mention before the call started is that I have been with Active Campaigns for about 9 years. Super love Active Campaign. I have been working with clients who have literally used every single platform imaginable, Entreport, Keep. I have even signed up and tried, what's the new one that's super popular now, that everybody's using, that's like an all in one go high level. I've tried that one, MailerLite. I've tried ConvertKit. I have tried all of the things. And I love, though, that your program is not specific to any particular platforms, but is there one that you love and recommend?
Yeah, you know what? So I started out very basic. When I first started, I would say don't stress about the platform at the start, especially if you're brand new and you're building your list. Use what you have, right? Obviously, don't use your personal email address, because that's like if we hear anything today, like don't use that, because there's certain regulations that you need to comply by when you're sending emails, and your personal email address is not going to do that. So we want to make sure you're on actually an email platform. But I started out with ConvertKit just for the sole reason of a lot of people were using it. They seemed to be really happy with it. So that's what I chose and ran with. So so that's been working really well for me. I love it. But I haven't played with the rest of them, honestly, because I've been satisfied.
Right. And so if you find one that works for you, then I say stick with it. Just like I've stuck with Active Campaign. I've tried these other ones just based on my clients using them and me feeling like I don't like them, just because there were restrictions in place that I wasn't used to in the other ways. What I would say is one that I would suggest that you probably stick away from is MailChimp. Even though it is low cost, it is very restrictive. And I would say go with MailerLite or ConvertKit if you were looking at like budget, although Active Campaign has a lower cost option as well. So
the budget, the range of what they cost is vastly different. So budget, I mean, that could be a differentiating factor for a lot of people.
Right. And so in what I'm teaching is I teach how to deal with the tech overwhelm of setting up your email and sales funnels. And so you're teaching more with the actual part that, the writing of the fundamentals of that.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
what we're working
I
hand
know
in
this is good.
hand.
I know this is good.
Yes. So, if another mom came to you or a woman came to you and she wanted to start her own business, what would your advice be to her?
Keep it simple. Like, I don't even have to think about that piece of advice. My advice is keep it simple, because the more you get into it, the more you're going to realize how much time and energy and effort it takes to build one offer, properly market one offer. It's a full-time job with one
Yes.
offer. So when we start going, I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, you're going to spread yourself too thin unless you have a team. Like, you can easily take one offer to multiple six. I've seen people take one offer to 7 figures. It can
Mhm.
be done. You don't need 15 different things.
Yes, and I think that's smart too because they're focusing in on this one offer and they're marketing it in so many different ways
Mhm.
that they can do that. And I do think like people get in there, they're like, oh, I have to have at least 10 different things that I need to sell, and I gotta have a course. I have to have all these products. I have to. Let me actually rewind and talk to you really quickly about freebies because I want to know what you think about the different types of freebies and should your freebie be associated with your offer?
100% yes. So what I would say about freebies is that when I'm coaching people to design their freebie, what I like to say is think about your ideal client. Where are they when they first come to you? So what is that struggle that they have? What is the pain point that they have? What is the transformation that they're trying to achieve? So think about that full thing. If that was A when they're coming to you, what do they want to look like at from A to Z? Okay, so that's
Mhm.
going to be your signature offer. When we're thinking about our lead magnet or freebie, we want to think about what are the milestones along the way from A to Z, and how can we create a free offer that's going to fully solve one of those milestones or give them one quick win.
Yes.
Because then that's going to be a natural segue. They're going to feel like, you know what, I worked with this person and I achieved something that I hadn't before. And it's going to open up the doors of saying, yes, you achieved this, but you've still got B through Z to achieve your transformation. And here's how we can continue to work together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle creating freebies because they're not really sure what to create. And that's why oftentimes, though, people will download your freebie and then it'll just sit in their inbox. And so that's why it's important I love the sequence where it'll follow back up and say, hey, did you download? you know?
Yes, yes. And I would 100% second that. With your freebie delivery sequence, we're calling it a sequence because it's more than one email. You're going to have that initial freebie delivery, but you're also going to have a couple emails afterwards, just checking in to make sure that they went through that freebie.
Mhm.
Because yes, they're on your list, but if that freebie was designed well, its job is to nurture them to further want your signature offer. So if they don't
Right.
consume it, it's not able to do its job.
Yeah. And there's certain email platforms where you would actually be able to tell if they downloaded it just based on them clicking, and some that you couldn't. But, it just really depends on what platform you're using. So, one of the reasons why started this whole podcast was to talk about, not only connecting with other business moms, but to talk about how you're able to take care of yourself while you're raising your family and your business. So I would love to know what you are doing for yourself, Amy. What are you doing for self-care?
One of the biggest things, and this seems like such a silly, like some people think self-care and they're like a bubble bath and a vacation. This is my very simple and silly self-care thing that I do that works for me, is that I am by nature someone that could work all the time
Mhm.
and do that until the point that suddenly I can't. We work ourselves right until we hit a wall. That's me. So one of the things that I've done for my own self-care and routine is I have a set start time and end time for my day. 15 minutes prior to my day ending, I always have an alarm go off on my phone, which is like, hey, it's time to wrap up. I close out what I'm doing, and I have always right on my desk, it's just a 3-item checklist. So I finish up my day and I write the top 3 items that I'm going to do the next day, so that I can't get the idea of, well, let me just put another thing on. If it doesn't fit in my 3 items, it has to go on another day. And that's been one of the biggest game changers for me, and not feeling overwhelmed by a massive to-do list, and being able to end every single day feeling like, I accomplished everything I set out to do today.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually wonderful. And that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say something like that. And so I like to kind of keep, tabs of the things that people say, because initially when I started this, it was I get my nails done and get my hair done, and and I get that. And a lot of people say that they go to the gym, and I go to the gym for my self-care. That's the thing. And then we talk about, some simpler things like I'll sit in the car for an extra 5 minutes. I'll do these things, especially when you have littles running around, or like me, have a lot of kids who can, be bickering and whatnot. So yeah, you're just like, I just need that space for some alone time. But I love that the hard stop on the day, and then just making that note of, this is the 3 things that I'll pick up when I start my next day, because then it keeps you, where to start when you pick back up. Yeah. And I love that too, because you're not scrambling the next day of like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You already know what you're starting with. So I think that's wonderful. So where can we find you online? Where are you at?
Yeah, so there's 3 different places. So number 1, if you're on social media, my number 1 social media hangout is Instagram. So that's just at Amy Kuph, AMYKUPH on Instagram. Because I'm big into email marketing, I don't post all the time on my Instagram. However, I'm in my DMs daily. So people send me a DM, they will get a reply back. There, I also have my own podcast. It's called the Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast. That's on Apple and Spotify. And if they want to learn more about the membership, it's amykuphal.com/inbox.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it.
And there you have it. I want to encourage you to remember that being a mom who runs her own business is not easy. We all struggle, but just keep moving forward, and don't forget to make time for yourself. As moms, we are usually the first thing to go to the bottom of the list. If your business is overwhelming you and you need real solutions, not just some sugar-coated suggestions, apply to work with me at ritasuzanne.com/apply.